Welcome. We are visiting different values of history of Vedic mathematics. Today, we shall be visiting the inner conceptual foundational format basis of Sanskrit language itself, and is where we have to be approaching the very word Sanskrit itself, as this word is preserving the internal structural keys of organization of this discipline at its foundational level. The word Sanskrit deserves to be approached first in terms of 10 folds of its Divya Vivasta. These 10 folds of transcendental code values will sequentially take us to that it is one word, so having value 1. It is a composition of 3 syllables, and as such, it accepts association of value 3. It is availing 8 letters, and as such, it will be having association of value 38. These 3 sequential steps, 1 as a one word, 3 as 3 syllables, 8 as 8 letters, will take us to the next fourth step, which is the Divya Vivasta of all the 8 letters of this word formulation. These 8 words of word formulation Sanskrit lead us to value 26. Value 26 equal to the value of word formulation Devata. Therefore, one shall have a pause here and be face to face with this Divya Vivasta reach of word Sanskrit, which goes parallel with the TC value Divya Vivasta of word formulation Devata. This becomes language of the God. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. It is with imbibing of this feature we will further be face to face with that the letter Ka as Kag Brahma will be having value 3 as additional value, and with it the TC value of word formulation Sanskrit will become 29, which is parallel with the TC value of Brahma, creator, the supreme. Therefore, Sanskrit, God's language, created by Brahma. And a step ahead, Shiv will take to the TC value 30, which is parallel with the TC value of Sahita, and accordingly, the inner fold values, potentialities of Sanskrit are going to be the values and features and potentialities of Vedic science. This way, we are having glimpse of the inner folds of word formulation Sanskrit, which ultimately takes us to the inner foundational format of the Sanskrit language itself as language of the gods, devatas, and being created by Creator the Supreme, Lord Brahma. And this creation is of the order of Vedic Samhitas. Step ahead when we shall be reaching at the fifth inner fold of Divyanka Vivastha. It will be taking us to TT value, transcendence values equal to 39, which is parallel with the TC value of Maheshwar. As such, Sanskrit word formulation as structural key of the discipline of Sanskrit is sequentially taking us from its fourth fold as creator's fold to the fifth fold as the transcendental fold, Lord Shiva's fold. Sadhakas fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization format features of word formulation Sanskrit and as such of the structural foundational format of the Sanskrit language shall sequentially reach at these five folds, these five folds of Divya Anka Vivastha of the word formulation Sanskrit. A step ahead is FF, is the frequencies, the formulation frequencies, and see this value comes to be 186 for Ka 1, 189 for Ka 4, and 190 for Ka 5. So within creator's space, it is going to be 189, which is 9 multiplied by 21. Hence, it is parallel with the dimensional frame of 9 space, cube 9, now Brahm. It is this feature of this phase and stage of inner formulation which deserves to be comprehended well, to be face to face with, to be parallel with the inner structural foundation of word formulation Sanskrit and the structural format of the discipline of Sanskrit. The next phase and stage, the seventh phase and stage, is the word formulations. The 8 letters of the word Sanskrit lead to their respective range of 8 TC values, and summation value of these 8 TC values of 8 letters of the word formulation Sanskrit come to be 81, which is of the organization 3 raised to power 4, and hence this seventh phase and stage of inner fold of word formulation is parallel with the transcendence from the solid origin, solid order origin of force space, and thereby with this there happens transcendence and superimposition of solid order of 5 space upon the spatial order of the creator space 4 space. It is this phase and stage, it is this transcendence and superimposition of higher order upon the lower order of the domain, which is of phenomenal implication. Therefore, when we shall be having a chase of history of Vedic mathematics in terms of the conceptual foundational unfolding process of the word formulation Sanskrit and hence of the Sanskrit language, it will be taking us to phase and stage of Dhvani Visphot. It is this explosion at the origin seat of the creator's space which naturally takes us from creator's space to the transcendental space. It is a yuga parivartan. This yug Parivartan phase and stage. Accordingly, he will be taking us to the distinct phase and stage of history of Vedic mathematics. This phase and stage of history mathematics as such going to be a phase and stage which will take us from the Dwapar Yuga to Treta Yuga. However, as within creators the space, because of the spatial order, there is a superimposition of the orientations of opposite orders. Hence, here there will happen that Dwapar Yuga will come to play subsequent to the Treta Yuga. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well, and it is with comprehension of this phase and stage only that we may be in a position to have full appreciation of as to how the organization of the timeline is of a cyclic wheel path. It is this cyclic wheel path of the time which deserves to be comprehended well. It is only by having proper appreciation of this cyclic wheel path of timeline that we may be in a position to have sequential organization of different phases, different spaces, different conceptualizations, and different progression chapters of history of Vedic mathematics. Eighth phase and stage is of hypercube format. The hypercubes formats of PC values of 8 letters of the text of Sanskrit take us to sequential values of summation value 88, which is equal to 8 multiplied by 11, and hence it becomes the volume. It becomes the inner space of the space element. It is this inner space of line, area, volume, and hypervolumes when goes at the phase and stage of 8 space, which is Prakriti, which is Brahman. So 8th phase and stage goes parallel with what is comprehensible as Prakriti, Brahman. 9th phase and stage is of transcendence range, which comes to be the value 175 and also as 180, and the synthesis of the transcendence ranges values takes us to 389. Let us have a pause. Let us be parallel with these 10 inner folds, and the summation value of all these 10 folds comes to be 897. See, it is 103 less than 1000. Shahistr Anand. 103 is equal to the hypercube. Therefore, sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems for appreciation of the history of Vedic mathematics shall follow the inner folds 10 inner folds of the word formulation Sanskrit and see the hypercube of format for these 10 folds values makes an anant. It is this chase, it is this reach, it is this comprehension, it is this imbibing which will potentialize us with the mental state, be parallel with Vedic systems. And by being parallel with the Vedic systems, we shall be appreciating as to how Shishyate Shesha Sangya Bhagavad Mahapuran, the whole manifestation to be taken along with the remainder, that is the format. So format and manifestation thereupon together are the reach. The manifested existence phenomenon of our solar universe is parallel with the life existence phenomenon with the human frame. This feature is the basic feature with whose comprehension only we may be in a mental state to have proper appreciation, to be parallel with the history of Vedic mathematics and Vedic systems as these are unfolding themselves. Sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of virtue shall approach this virtuous phenomenon, inner folds of word formulation Sanskrit, by having a chase of it in terms of Yoga Nishtha and Sankhya Nishtha going parallel. The Sankhya Nishtha, which avails the artifices of the numbers, will chase it along Mool Ank 1 to 9. The organization of numbers 1 to 9 with middle placement for value 5 when is chased, it will be giving us 6 forms for triple digits 1, 5 and 9, and these 6 numbers 159, 519, 195, 951 and 915 give us summation value 3330. See, the value 3330 is 3 into 111 multiplied by 10, and 111 is equal to 3 into 37. 37 is equal to the total versions of hypercube 18. 18 itself is the summation value of hypercube 5. And it is this way that we are reaching at number value 3330, which is equal to 1500 plus 1830. And the value 1830 is equal to the total number of days of Sanvatsar Yuga. See, Sankhya Nishtha approach in terms of Mool Ank is going parallel with the Sanvatsar Yuga, the timeline of 5 years duration of 360 days of each year is the binding thread. It is this stitching thread, this binding thread of being parallel with the timeline of Sanvatsar Yuga. 5 years cyclic wheel of timeline as such is at play in organization of the Vedic knowledge in terms of artifices of numbers 1 to 9. One shall sit comfortably and ascending mind to be parallel with this feature. The another feature which deserves to be comprehended well is that the Sanskrit grammar is essentially the grammar of transposition, the content from one reservoir to another reservoir. It is this conceptual attainment of Vedic grammar which will ultimately become the basis of all the technologies of our space. The technology of our space is of a feature that it transposes, transports, carries a content from one source to another source. It is this transportation of the content which is being phased, which is being chased, which is being mathematized, which is being technologized, which is being processed, which is being made a system. Therefore, sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the Vedic systems, Vedic technologies, Vedic mathematics, Vedic grammar, shall sit comfortably and be parallel with the methodology of transposition of a content from one reservoir to another reservoir. It is here where, when we shall be having computational chase, see, it will be taking us to Ekadhiked Purvain, the first sutra, and Paranava Sarvadeshu, the need of 36 letters for the composition of the entire text of the Gita Sutras in Sutras. Therefore, sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems, Vedic mathematics, Vedic technologies. Then the Sanskrit grammar is to be approached for its conceptual base and in terms thereof the phased chapters of the history of Vedic mathematics are written. Like that, we have to proceed ahead and see as to how it will be taking us to Arjan Vishad Yog, where the Varna Sankar is the first difficulty. The first difficulty of the Arjuna has been that he was not in a position to have his mental state parallel with the mathematics of the Divyank Vivastha, a reach from Varan Samamnaya to Ank Samamnaya had been the mental conditioning prohibition for Arjuna. Therefore, the sadhakas are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic mathematics, Vedic systems, Vedic sciences, Vedic technologies, shall revisit the Devanagari Varnamala. From the letters alphabet, we have to reach the numbers alphabet. From numbers alphabet, we have to reach at the geometric alphabet. From geometric alphabet, we have to reach at the Sthapatya, miring rods. And from Sthapatya, miring rods formats, we have to reach at a transcendental flow. And it is only thereafter that we will be having a Dive Ganga Parvaha processing steps of the Vedic systems for chase of a Jyoti flow from the orb of the sun. Therefore, the students of history of Vedic mathematics have to conceptually reach at the processing steps of Sanskrit grammar, and from these steps we will ultimately be in a position to have an appreciation as to how there is a split of a solar sphere into a pair of hemispheres, and then how the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere are having the features of full spheres. It is this feature of a hemisphere to be a full sphere and a sphere to be a pair of spheres, which is going to be the organizational format of our space. Our space is to be chased. Our space technologies are to be harnessed only by having appreciation of the synthetic setup of a solar universe as a pair of hemispheres, with each hemisphere being a full sphere. It is here where we have to be cautious, we have to be sensitive, we have to be appreciative, and our mental states are to be parallel with this happening. This happening of a sphere split into a pair of spheres is the space phenomenon with whose chase only the Vedic systems have become of the order of the universal existence phenomenon. It is this universal existence phenomenon which is being chased as of the parallel format features for hypercube 4 and hypercube 5, while these structure out 6 space and 7 space. It is here where we shall have a pause and rethink as to how Lord Shiva is worshipping Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu is worshipping Lord Shiva. Within the heart of Lord Shiva is the seat of self-referral Lord Vishnu, while within the heart of Lord Vishnu is the seat of the transcendental Lord Shiva. It is the Skanda Puran enlightenment. Skand is a six-headed Lord. Skand is son of transcendental Lord Shiva. So the formulation Skand deserves to be appreciated, and for it we have to decode it, and it is only with its decoding that we can be parallel with as to how 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 and 2 multiplied by 3 is equal to 3 is equal to 6 get superimposed within a creator's space, a fourth space where 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2. One shall sit comfortably and permit the transcending mind to be parallel with this organization by having a transition from Ekadhike Purve, the first sutra, to the Niklim Navasta Charmam Dashata. Thank you very much.